Welcome on in, everybody. Thank you for checking out the channel. Tobin here with you as the Miami Dolphins embarking on week 3 of the NFL season. Already feels like it's going too fast. Dolphins, of course, 2-0. They win the first 2 games of the season on the road, and they finally get to come to the friendly confines of Hard Rock Stadium for a date with the Denver Broncos, who are 0-2 on the season. They lost a rock fight to the Las Vegas Raiders, who then just got absolutely throttled by the Bills, which it was not a surprise. Look, I think the Bills are going to take a step back as much as anybody, but if they had any pride whatsoever, I felt like the Bills were going to whoop up on the Raiders. That being said, it was an embarrassing performance by Las Vegas. And then you had this past week where the Broncos, all right, looking like a little bit of life, little something there. And they end up coughing up a big lead to the Commanders. Then they need a Hail Mary from Russell Wilson. Yeah, probably got screwed on some pass interference there at the end. However, you can't have a lot of sympathy for them for the position they put themselves in. So they're 0-2. They've lost their first 2 at home. They now venture out for their first road game of the season with, of course, Sean Payton at the helm. And I think the big question, obviously, going into this one for Miami is the health of Jalen Waddle. And I got to be honest, it's been one of the things that has been remarkable about the Miami Dolphins thus far has been their ability to deal with some blows to their stars. You came under this season, Jalen Ramsey goes down immediately, so you have to wonder, what are you going to do there? They bring in Eli Apple. You, of course, have Cam Smith and some other guys there on the men. That one hasn't gone fantastic, but it's definitely been bend, don't break. The Patriots had a pretty quick drive, basically attacking Eli Apple the entire way, but he hasn't been. It hasn't been awful. I mean, he's not. He's. I'm expecting us all to have our patience to be thin with Eli Apple, but it's been okay so far. It hasn't because I'm going to pull a Mike McDaniel. Because it's been in wins, I've been able to handle it a lot better than I have the Connor Williams snap issues, but everybody's got their eye on it with Eli Apple for sure. The offensive line has done a marvelous job. Tua is getting rid of the ball, quick as a hiccup. He's getting rid of that football quickly. But they've maintained. I mean, the guy's really barely been touched this season so far. He has only taken 1 sack, and that was basically on a second effort spin move by Matthew Judon. You're not gonna hold them all up. They've really performed admirably, and especially in the absence of Teron Armstead. So you have to give him props for that. Then you have Jalen Phillips, who's out this week, and Andrew Von Ginkel. He's absolutely amazing. He balls out. Bradley Chubb, we've been waiting for a big game for him. And so you really just have to give it up for the Dolphins. Now, the possibility of not having Jalen Waddle is looming. He did not practice today. He is in concussion protocol. I'm sure we all saw what happened there towards the end of the Dolphins and Patriots game where he takes the knock. He goes to the tent. Is in concussion protocol. He was out on the field, stretching today, which I believe means he's past some level of the protocol. But the one thing with this Dolphins team, first of all, they've been very cautious on their injuries so far this season. And the concussion thing is going to be an interesting one because obviously it's impossible for the Dolphins not to handle this with kid gloves is the wrong term. It's just impossible to think that the human behavior for the Dolphins here isn't going to be extra cautious with one of their stars because of what had happened last year with Tua and Jalen Waddle being as important to their offenses as he is. I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up being a concussion, just on the assumption of you've seen how they've handled injuries so far. You know what they dealt with last year. Logic would tell you this is a Broncos team. This Dolphins team is better than. Could they beat him without Jalen Waddle? I think so. If you told me Waddle and Tyreek were out, okay, then we could have a discussion. But if you still have the cheetah, I think the Dolphins could get by okay. I think they can. But it's definitely a concern. These things are always squirrely with the concussions. You never want to assume because we really don't know. We got a lesson in that last year. We didn't know the ones that look awful you get past, and the ones that look like nothing can really affect you. It's tough to gauge this type of thing. So definitely something to keep an eye on going into this week when Jalen Waddle, is dealing with this and seeing where he's at. Now, the good news of things, Teron Armstead did practice, as did Jalen Phillips, who's dealing with his back. And so that's some really good news. Other people on the injury report, you had Van Ginkel, he was limited. Tyreek Hill dealing with an ankle, Julian Hill dealing with an ankle, Raekwon Davis dealing with a wrist. So it's a long injury list. The ones who did not practice was Savon Ahmed, he's dealing with a groin, and then a vet rest day for Xavier Howard. So those are the things that you're kind of keeping an eye on as far as the injuries are concerned. But one of the cool things that happened today, aside from all this injury stuff, was Tua Tagovailoa. And I got to say, the Tua press conferences are becoming must-watch TV every single week because this dude, he's bringing the goods. I mean, he is. He's bringing the goods every single week. It seems like Tua's got something to say that's either spicy or is, goosey-inducing. And that's what today was. Today was goosies galore from Uno. I mean, he had a quote today that it steals your heart. It steals your heart as a Dolph fan, as a South Floridian, to hear this type of stuff from QB1, and the confidence you could just hear oozing out of him when discussing, what the hype is like for this team and feeling like he wants to deliver the big one to the Dolphin fan.
Now, from a fan perspective, how electric, Hard Rock Stadium is probably going to be on Sunday. How much pride does that give you?
Yeah, I think it gives all of us on this team a lot of pride. We feel that the city of Miami has been waiting, and they're ready, for a championship. You look at the Heat, you look at the Panthers, the Florida Panthers. I mean, all those guys were able to, to make it to the final dance, and they were able to do special things throughout their seasons. And so, we're kind of trying to trot along that line and sort of follow the lead of those guys.
Wow. That's goosies galore, dude. I mean, I don't make the rules. That just, goosies when they pop up, and Tua right there telling you he knows what the city has been waiting for. He knows how much this city wants a championship, and specifically a Super Bowl. This city is thirsting for meaningful football winning. It is. As a person who's done sports radio in this town for a long time, football town, basketball town, this has become stupid debate. A thing that has been a little bit silly over the edge. I thought it was funny when the Heat, they were going through their run, and it was Stephen Ross's fault, to be fair. I mean, he was the one who threw the first punch. He was out there saying, "Oh, well, LeBron left, people aren't going to care about the Heat as much." And what he had failed to realize is that entire era of basketball had birthed a very, very passionate fan base. So it was a dumb thing for Stephen Ross to say. But there is no doubt, this is the heritage team. This is the team that has been passed down for generations. As a Heat fan, I'm passing the Heat down to my kids. I'm 37 years old, going to be 37 in a couple of weeks. And, I'm passing this down to my kids, passing the Panthers down to my kids. But the Dolphins have been around for generations, dude. They've been passed down from grandfathers already. That's been there. Hurricanes and Dolphins. It's the difference. And if Tua was to be the guy to get there first, what it would be like to be the starting quarterback, the starting quarterback for the next Dolphins team to win a Super Bowl, to do something Marino never did. My God. I mean, that's going to be like royalty already, because we look at the, to steal from Mark Hochman, the Mount Rushmore of Miami sports right now. And you could go plenty of ways, but, etched in two spots are obviously Dwayne Wade, Dan Marino. And then if you were to put executives there or coaches, you'd probably put Don Shula, Pat Riley. That'd probably be the list, but you could also have arguments for some Hurricanes in there. I don't really think any Panthers or Marlins have a seat at that table. But if you're the next quarterback to win, if Tua would be the next quarterback to lead the Dolphins to a Super Bowl, man, you might have to etch somebody off that mountain. It may dethrone somebody. I don't know who that would be. Probably either Shula or Riley, but it would be incredible. It would be incredible. And this has been an incredibly and the thing that I love about Tua, I love the fact that he's putting those expectations out there. And it's not just so much of our team has Super Bowl expectations, but I love the fact, because I love the fact that he took note being at some of the Panthers this year. I don't believe he went to any Heat games during the playoff run, but taking note of the buzz in the city while that was all going on and thinking to himself, I want this. I want this for us. And I've said this on a Game Day Uncensored, and I don't know if I've done this on video yet, but I truly believe one of the underrated things about how his season ended last year is not just the health and the career and you're worried about, is this sport for me? I get all that, dude. That stuff is obviously more important, but this is the sport that Tua has been super competitive at since he was a kid, since, he's been in high school, becoming a star at Alabama, a star before our very eyes in the national championship game before this fan base wanted to tank for him. He's really competitive, and he's been through a lot of adversity, and especially in his pro career. And you think about how tough it must have been as a competitor last year to just sit on the sidelines and watch your team wheeze to the end, get into the playoffs, but know that if you were probably in that playoff game, you would have probably gotten over the top and beaten the Bills. And I'm sure that has to eat at him. I'm not saying that, he should regret not playing. I get it. You had to take care of yourself. But there's no way there haven't been moments where you think, damn, what could have been? What could we have done last year? And how much must that have motivated him this year? Not only seeing what the Panthers and the Heat are doing, and hell, the Marlins being in their wild card run, and the Canes being in the Final Four, and what Messi has brought to the table. All of this stuff is cool. But if you're the quarterback of the Miami Dolphins who actually takes them to the promised land, that's something right there, dude. There's a lot, and it's a very wise thing for Tua to take note of, that to know that this city is starving to get over the top. There's been a lot of, as cool as these seasons have been, there's been some heartbreak, because when you get all the way to the end and you lose, and that's pretty much been the beat now, where, between the Heat, the Panthers, the Canes, FA, it's all been magical. It's all been magical and appreciative, but they've all come with crushing endings too. And to be the team that can get you over the top would be incredible. And I get it. There could be Dolphin fans who are on the comments be like, hey, man, I'm just happy if they win a playoff game for the first time in 23 years. I hear you. I get it. However, this team, their mentality, the way they're built, the way it's invested in, for him to have that intuition, I just think is a special thing and a really cool thing for him to point out. It was goosies galore. It just was. And look, Tua gives the goosies. That's what he does. But I just think that every time I hear this man step into a microphone, I'm just like, you just think that you can't make me love you more, and then yet you do. You're hypnotizing Tua, and I love it.